DEVI MAHATMYAM, The Glory of the Goddess, by Sage Markandeya. Translated by Lyndal Vercoe. Read by Tim Bruce. त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री महालक्ष्मी साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः. Chapter 2. The Rishi said, once upon a time, when Mahishasura was lord of the Asuras, and Indra was lord of the Devas, they fought a war for 100 years, until the Asuras won. Then Mahishasura took Indra's place as lord of the heavens. The defeated Devas, led by Brahma, approached Shiva and Vishnu. There were 30 gods, including Surya, Indra, Agni, Anil, Vayu, Chandra, Varuna, and Yama. They all described in detail how the evil Mahishasura had thrown them out of heaven. He had taken their rightful places, forcing them to wander the earth like mortals. The immortals asked the Lords Shiva and Vishnu to protect them from the wicked conduct of their enemies. As they heard the Deva's story, Vishnu and Shiva became furious. Heavy frowns bent their brows. Then that anger burst forth as a great light from Brahma, from Shiva, and from all the other lords and Devas. From Vishnu and from Indra too, from each of them, a powerful light glowed. Then this great energy, which came from the assembled gods, merged and became one extremely bright light. Like a blazing mountain peak, that light spread across the sky, illuminating the 10 directions. That combined light from the Devas manifested in the form of a woman, whose splendor filled the 3 worlds. The light from unconquerable Lord Shiva became her face. From the light of Yama, her hair came. From Vishnu's light, her arms. By Soma's light, her breasts. Her waist by Indra's light. By Varuna's light, her legs. And by earth, her buttocks and hips. From Brahma's light came her feet. And by the sun, her toes were made. The Vasu's light became her fingers, and Kubera's light her nose. Prajapati's light became her teeth, and her 3 eyes came from the light of Narayana. Her womb came from Agni's light, and the 2 Sandhyas gave her eyebrows. Her ears came from the light of Vayu. So it was that from these lights of so many Devas, the auspicious Devi became visible. Then, as they gazed at her, those gods who had been so oppressed were suddenly filled with joy. From his trident, Pinaka, Lord Shiva then drew forth and presented her trident. Lord Krishna gave her a discus, which he brought forth from his own discus. Varuna presented a conch, and Agni gave a spear. Indra gave a thunderbolt drawn from his own thunderbolt. The Marutas presented her bow and arrows, while Indra drew her bell from his elephant's bell. From his staff, Lord Yama drew her staff. The Lord of the Oceans gave her a noose. Her necklace and waterpot came from Lord Brahma. Surya's rays illumined the pores of her skin. Kala, the Lord of Time, bestowed a pure shield and a shining sword. The milk ocean brought her a necklace, of finest pearl. 2 everlasting robes, a glorious jewelled crown and earrings, bracelets for her upper arms and forearms, pure anklets, and a fabulous necklace. Jewelled rings covered all her fingers, and a crescent moon adorned her hair. Vishwakarma gave her many missiles, a pure axe, and impenetrable armor. From the ocean came garlands of unfading lotus flowers to adorn her head and breast, and a lotus to carry in her hand. The mountain, Himavat, adorned her with jewels and gave her a lion to ride. Kubera, the lord of wealth, gave her a chalice filled with ambrosia. Her jewelled serpent necklace was given her by Shesha, the lord of serpents, who balances the 3 worlds. The other gods also adorned her and gave more armaments. Then the Devi laughed again and again, such long, high, terrifying peals of laughter, so loud, so unrestrained, that it caused the earth and sky and all of the waters to tremble. Every part of the world and its oceans shook with agitation at that roaring sound. The gods were filled with gladness, and they shouted, "Victory to her, the lion rider!" All the sages also praised her, bowing in devotion. Alarmed at such total commotion in the 3 worlds, all the wicked asuras rushed out, brandishing their weapons. "Ah! What is this?" shouted the enraged Mahishasura. Then, as the asuras all charged towards that terrifying challenge of the Devi, Mahishasura saw her standing there, her splendor pervading the 3 worlds, her footsteps causing the earth to bend, her crown engraving its mark on the heavens. The twang of her bowstring agitated all of the corners of hell. Her 1,000 arms filled the 4 quarters. She is all-pervading. Thus she commenced her battle with those enemies of the gods. Swords and daggers clashed and whirled, so many missiles were discharged, the whole sky was ablaze. There were 4 great divisions of Mahishasura's armies. They were led by the generals Chikshura and Chamara, with their myriads of chariots. Udagra brought his 60,000 chariots. Mahahanu had 10 million chariots. Asilama brought 15 million to battle. Vaskala had 6 million. Ugra Darshana and Parivarita came with thousands of elephants and horses and 10 million chariots to fight. Bidala also fought surrounded by 500 crores of chariots, and many, many more asuras came with tusked elephants and fiery steeds to fight with the Devi in that battle. Then, Mahishasura, surrounded by thousands of crores of horses, chariots and elephants, using javelins and cleavers, staves and maces and spears, commenced to battle with the Devi. They hurled nooses and clubs at her. Some attacked her with swords, but she easily snared their arrows and missiles with her noose. Extending her many arms, she playfully amused herself. With her sword and discus, she severed their weapons effortlessly, while she showered them with arrows. All the gods and sages watched and sang her praises, as the weapons of the Devi pierced the bodies of asuras, sending them crazy with pain. She rode her angry lion. He shook his mane as he stalked among the armies of asuras. They fell like trees in a forest fire. Delighted, Ambika loosed sighs of satisfaction in the battle. Each breath instantly created hundreds and thousands of gunners, who arose to join her in the battle, wreaking destruction on the enemy with their axes and halberds and tridents. Her gunners were filled with energy by the power of the Devi. They blew conchas, while some played mridangams and tabors. It now became a mighty martial festival. The Devi killed asuras by the hundreds with showers of spears, as well as with her trident, her club, and her sword. Hundreds more were thrown down, stunned by the sound of her bell. Some were bound by her noose and dragged to the ground. Some she split into two with her sword. Some lay on the ground crushed by her mace. Her club hammered others so severely they vomited blood. Some fell to the ground, pierced in the breast by her trident. Her arrows fell like torrents on those enemies of the Devas. In such dense masses, they were quickly slaughtered, quickly cut to pieces. The arms of some were severed, necks were broken, some were torn in half, heads rolled on the ground. Some great asuras fell as their legs were cut off. Others were cut clean down the middle by her sword. Some fell and rose again, headless trunks, still fighting, swords in hand, dancing to the rhythm of the drums and trumpets. Then some asuras shouted, "Stop! Stop!" at the Devi. Soon the earth was thickly covered with an impassable tangle, a mass of elephants, horses, asuras, and broken chariots. Rivers of blood flowed among them. Ambika destroyed the whole army as quickly as fire destroys wood and straw. Her lion roared as he stalked among them, shaking his mane and seeking the few still breathing. And the Devas, watching the triumph of the Devi, showered her with flowers in their gratitude. Chapter 3. Seeing the mother Ambika slay that whole army, the enraged Asura general Chikshura advanced. He rained arrows on her like clouds of rain on Mount Meru. She cut his masses of arrows easily with her own arrows, killed his horses and charioteer, split his bow and his tall banner, and pierced his limbs even as they held his shattered bow. He snatched up his sword and shield and rushed at her, striking the lion on the head and slashing at her left arm. O king, that sword disintegrated when it touched her arm. So he grasped his pike, red-eyed with rage he flung it at her. Bhadrakali, the great Devi, saw that pike coming at her like a blazing comet. She hurled her pike and shattered his to fragments, and the demon with it. When that mighty general was slain, another general, Chamara, charged up on his elephant. He hurled his spear at Ambika, who gave a disparaging hoot and struck it down lusterless. Seeing his broken spear fall, Chamara angrily flung a pike at her. She split it with arrows. Then the lion leapt onto the forehead of the elephant and attacked that demon Chamara. They both fought fiercely as they fell from the elephant. Then the lion sprung up to the sky and came down, severing Chamara's head with a blow of his paw. Udagra was killed in the battle by the Devi using stones and trees and other missiles, and Karala she killed with her teeth, fists and palms. And the angry goddess ground Uddhata to powder with blows of her club. Bashkala she killed with a dart, and Tamra and Andaka with arrows. The supreme three-eyed goddess slew Ugrasya and Ugravira and Mahahanu all with her trident. With her sword she struck Vidala's head, clean down from his body. Durdhara and Durmukha she sent to Yama's abode with her arrows. Now, as his army was being utterly destroyed, the Asura Mahisha assumed his buffalo form and attacked the troops of the Devi, terrifying them. Some he attacked with blows of his muzzle. Others he stamped with his hooves. Some were lashed by his tail, and some slashed by his horns. Some he laid low on the face of the earth, by the impetuous rush of his onslaught. Some were blasted by his breath, or his bellowing, or his wheeling career. Having laid low her army, Mahishasura rushed to attack the Devi's lion. This enraged Ambika. Mahishasura was fearless. He pounded the surface of the earth with his hooves. In his rage, he tossed the mountains aloft with his horns, and he bellowed. Crushed by his impetuous wheeling, the earth crumbled to pieces. The sea, lashed by his tail, overflowed in every direction. Clouds, pierced by his swaying horns, were rent to fragments. Hundreds of mountains rained down from the sky, cast up by the blast of his breath. Seeing the great Asura swollen with rage as he rushed on, Chandika let loose her fury in order to slay him. She flung her noose and bound him fast. Then, as he was bound, he suddenly stopped being a buffalo and became a lion. While Ambika beheaded that lion, Mahishasura emerged as a man with a sword. Swiftly, her arrows pierced the man and his sword and his shield. Then he changed into a huge elephant and roared as he grabbed her lion with his trunk. But as he pulled, she severed that trunk with her sword. Again he became a buffalo, shaking everything in the three worlds. The mother Chandika became really angry. Her eyes grew red, and she laughed as she quaffed a divine drink again and again. He was puffed up with his frenzy and strength, and hurled mountains against Chandika with his horns as he roared. With showers of arrows, she shivered those mountains to atoms. Her face flushed as she drank, tersely saying, "Roar! Roar on for a brief moment, O you fool, while I finish this nectar. Soon the gods will be roaring right here when you are slain by me." The Rishi said. As she spoke, she leapt up and landed on that Asura, pinning him down by her foot on his neck. She speared him. Caught by her foot, Mahishasura's real form began to emerge from his buffalo mouth. Chandika then struck off his head with her great sword. Then all his demonic army was destroyed. Wailing with fear, while the gods rose up in joyous exultation. The gods and rishis praised the Devi, while the Gandhava chiefs sang and Apsaras danced for joy. Chapter 4. The Rishi said, when that ferocious, evil army had been destroyed by the goddess, Indra and the host of Devas bowed reverently. Their bodies glowed. Their hair bristled with excitement as they praised her. We bow to the goddess Ambika, whose body expresses the collective power of the hosts of gods, to her who evolved the whole world by her power. She, who is all-pervading, may she bless us with auspiciousness. She is Chandika, whose peerless majesty and strength cannot even be described by the adorable lords Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. May she protect the entire cosmos and turn her mind to the destruction of grief and fear. O Devi, we bow to you who abide in the houses of virtuous people in the form of Shri, the goddess of prosperity. In the houses of the wicked, you are the goddess Alakshmi, causing destitution. You are intelligence in the hearts of the wise, faith in the hearts of the true, and modesty in noble souls. O goddess, protect the universe. O Devi, your form transcends the mind. How can we describe you? how can we speak of your great might in destroying demons? How can we tell of your skill in the battles when you overwhelm the enemies of the gods? You are the cause of all the worlds. The three gunas have their origin in you, but you have none of their defects. Even Shiva, Vishnu, and others cannot comprehend you. All beings come to you for refuge. This whole world is formed from an infinitesimal portion of yourself. Verily, you are the sublime primordial nature which can never change. O Devi, your complete divinity is expressed as Swaha, giving satisfaction to all the gods in the sacrificial fires. You are also the Svadha, who satisfies the ancestral beings. Therefore people chant you as Swaha and Swadha in ceremonies. You are the one who gives final liberation by performing great and inconceivable penances. You are the power which enables seers desiring moksha to restrain their senses and be cleansed of impurities. You are the soul of sound. You are the vessel which contains the pure Rig and Yajur and Sama hymns, whose chanting is adorned by the Om. You are Bhagavati, the adorable one, embodying the Vedas. You are the sustenance of all living things. You are the supreme destroyer of the suffering of all the worlds. You are wisdom, by which the essence of the scriptures may be understood. You are Durga, the boat that takes mankind across the ocean of worldly illusion. You have no desires. You are Shri, who abides in the heart of Vishnu, the enemy of the demon Kaitaba. You are Gauri, the giver of light and truth, who has fixed her dwelling in Shiva, who wears the moon on his forehead. Your lovely face was gently smiling, pure, like the rays of the full moon, beautiful, like the splendor of finest gold. It is utterly astonishing that after seeing your beauty, Mahishasura struck at your face in anger. And how strange, O Devi, that when he saw your face grow angry with terrible frowns and rosy as the rising moon, Mahishasura did not instantly drop dead. For who can survive the sight of the enraged destroyer? O Devi, be pleased with us. You are the supreme mother of all life. When angered, you instantly destroy the Asura families for the welfare of the world. We saw this when the vast army of Mahishasura was brought to its end. You always prosper those who are pleasing to you. They are esteemed by others. They become prosperous and famous, and their good deeds never cease. Their households are extensive, contented, and loving. By your grace, O Devi, the blessed ones daily perform righteous actions with devotion, and by this they attain heaven. O Goddess, you are definitely the only giver of the fruits of action in the three worlds. O Durga, when you are called to mind in difficult times, you remove terror from all creatures. When remembered by the self-aware, you bestow deeper enlightenment. Who beside you dares to dispel poverty, grief, and fear? Who else is always kind-hearted to everyone? You destroy the unrighteous to bring happiness to the world, O Devi. And although their wickedness could keep the Asuras in hell for ages, yet you think of their welfare by killing them in battle that they may reach heaven. You kill the enemies of the gods with weapons rather than burning them to ashes with your gaze. By your weapon's touch, even the wickedest may be purified and ascend. Such kindness you show them. Only by watching your face, which resembles the cooling light of the moon, only this protected the eyes of the Asuras from the piercing flash of your sword or spear point. O goddess, your disposition subdues the conduct of the wicked. This beautiful nature of yours is incomparable and beyond thought. Your supreme power destroys those who challenge the valor of the gods. Yet you have shown such compassion even to those enemies. Your prowess is beyond compare. Where else can be found such beauty which strikes terror in the enemies? In all the three worlds, only in you are found such a compassionate heart, an invincible battle skill, O Devi, bestower of boons. You have saved the three worlds by destroying the enemies. Killing them in battle, you have led them to heaven. You have vanquished our fear of the frenzied demons. We bow in reverence to you. O great Devi, protect us with your spear. O Ambika, protect us with your sword, by the sound of your bell, by the twang of your bowstring. O Chandika, guard us in all four directions with your spear. O Ishwari, protect us in this earth with those kindly gentle forms, as well as with those extremely terrifying forms with which you move about in the three worlds. O Ambika, guard us on every side with your sword, spear, mace, and whatever weapons your tender hands hold. The Rishi said, this praise was offered to the supporter of the worlds, as they worshipped her with offerings of celestial flowers from Nandana, and with perfumes and precious ointment, and all of them offered heavenly incense with deep devotion. Smiling sweetly, the Devi spoke to the prostrate gods. Your hymns of praise are so beautiful. Whatever you may ask, I will be pleased to do. The gods said, O great goddess, since you have slain our enemy Mahishasura, nothing remains to be done. Yet we pray that whenever we think of you, you will remove our difficulties at that time. O Mother of purest countenance, any mortal who praises you with these hymns, may you bless him with prosperity, O Ambika, as you have blessed us. The Rishi said, O King, after the gods appealed to her for the sake of the world and themselves, Bhadrakali replied, so it will be, and vanished. So now, O King, I have told you about the Devi who desires the prosperity of the three worlds, how she manifested from the bodies of the gods long, long ago. Listen again, and I will tell you how she came as Gauri to slay the wicked demons Shumba and Nishumbha for the protection of the three worlds. I will tell you exactly what happened.
Om